Hello, Europe. Welcome back to the Week in 7 Questions. My name is Álvaro de la Cruz, and today I am so happy to have with us Michael Benhamou. He's a research associate of the Martin Center and a former political advisor for NATO. Michael, last week, the first draft of the EU's strategic compass was presented after a year of preparatory discussions. In your opinion, what are the most important proposals included in the draft?
I think we are talking about adjustments, Álvaro, more than anything revolutionary. New PESCO projects in the air and space domain have been announced for industrial cooperation. This is very positive because we need to bridge the gap with the US and China on that front, artificial intelligence and cyber. A new force has been introduced also, the EU rapid deployment capacity, 5,000 soldiers strong. This is lower than what the EU has sent in Bosnia earlier in the century, 7,000. This is also much lower than the 60,000 soldiers target of the Helsinki conference in 1999. So you can tell here that the era of grand military interventions is over, and that the EU is aligning itself with the US concept of smaller, short-term and high-tech operation. The future is small and it is hybrid now.
Do you think that the compass is pointing to the right direction?
What has been said on the PESCO, on the new EU force, on the civilian component of European interventions is important. Converging also on a joint threat analysis, on sharing the same ideas on issues and threats in the neighborhood is also very important. But it is just a list. What matters now is defining priorities and directing budgets and armed forces on these priorities. And here in Europe, we still have the same tension between making Russia the number one priority and making the Middle East the top priority. On top of that, you have another tension on the regionalists and the globalists, those who think that we should focus on the neighborhood, put all resources on the neighborhood, and those who say that we can invest also in the Indo-Pacific and in Latin America.
In 4 months from now, the final version of the compass will be adopted under the French presidency. How likely is that France shows political leadership on the matter given the upcoming elections in the country?
My feeling is that the France of Macron still believes that defense cooperation at the EU level is worth the negotiating efforts and the red tape. So the strategic compass next year will receive special attention. Defense cooperation projects as well, in spite of the delays of these industrial projects. But, France has been hit by Australia's decision to cancel its submarine contracts. And in exchange of this scar, it asked the United States to distance itself from the European defense deals and enable the development of a proper European defense ecosystem. We will see next year if Washington and European member states really play into that new industrial and policy mindset.
And what about Germany?
Well, in Germany, Social Democrats and Greens will take over the foreign affairs and defense portfolios, which has always meant a lack of focus on these issues historically. Olaf Scholz, the new chancellor, and Annalena Baerbock, the probable new German foreign affairs minister, said encouraging words, recognizing that Germany faces threats, planning to digitize the Bundeswehr, which is very good, but when you read between the lines, you can tell that this new coalition considers defense as a secondary topic. And so my feeling is that Germany will be about managing COVID, energy transition, making sure that the US remains its top security provider, despite numerous signs showing that Washington wants to abandon that role very soon.
According to you, how could the draft be further improved ahead of the final vote in March 2022?
Well, first of all, I think the writing has improved, if you ask me. We have less idealistic metaphors about inspiring others by the sheer force of our human rights virtue. We have more realistic, down-to-earth analysis, such as I quote, I have the text here. This is not the world that we Europeans have chosen or prefer, but it is the one we have to face.
And what would be the best way to protect Europe's influence as both a regional and a global actor?
Well, three ways to act better. I think investing more, Álvaro. The European Union budget for defense went from 15 billion euros to 8 billion last year. 50% cuts. Germany has a responsibility there, but also Nordic countries who continue to think that American love is eternal. Second, I would say getting our geographic priorities right. The EU has a 100 billion euro budget for external policies, 100 billion over 7 years. More of that sum should be allocated to the Balkans, to the Mediterranean, to Ukraine, to Georgia. More of these funds also should be flexible, adaptable to trends. Easy to say, but very necessary. And third, I would say, getting innovation right. The US and China are investing 2 to 5 times more in AI, in cyber, in machine learning. And I think that in 10 and 15 years, they will be dominant and way too dominant on the military field if we do not catch up in this field, definitely.
Finally, Michael, do you think that Europe will ever have an army of its own?
Do you know the song by Glenn Campbell, By the Time I Get to Phoenix, Álvaro? By the time I get to Phoenix, she'll be rising. She'll find the notes I left hanging on the door. Well, this is the feeling I have about the EU army. Many notes hanging on doors, but nothing in this century, I believe. Maybe in the next century, maybe in the 22nd century.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned, and we come back next week with another surprise guest.